You wanted monsters all slain by their betters, but you ain't seen nothing like arts and letters. Look who has answered the cry of distress. Oops, it's all bards. Oh, what a mess. You think we're a joke, but in truth we're all id. We fight like we learned it in books, 'cause we did. We all survived college with charisma impressive. Oops, it's all bards, and yes, it's excessive. If you're still confused, we'll explain to you thus. There's nobody left, so that's why they called us. We'll fight or we'll otherwise roll for successes. Oops, it's all bards. We hope that addresses all that you have to know to enjoy listening to our all bard party sent off on a mission. How'll it go?
Well, we're sure you can guess.
Oops, it's all bards. Oh,
what a mess.
Endrick Harrowhold, Urvara Hall.
Belsernamiel, Flatley Hall.
Colonian Stumps, Shalomir College.
Clary Sauercloud, Talmadge Hall.
Ruckus, Doghook, Go, Bananas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Oops All Bards, the actual play D&D podcast that does what it says on the box, which is to say, yes, you are about to hear a campaign with an all-bard party. If you're already a D&D player, it's either your wildest dream or your worst nightmare. I apologize either way. If you're not already a D&D player, I can only tell you, don't try this at home. I am your host and game master, Jillian, Ashley, Blair, Ivey, but you're going to hear all of the fine folks around the table refer to me as Jill. And I've been playing D&D for, I think, about 6 years now, largely with the folks who are in this party. I got really into it, though, during the pandemic. I've run several one-shots, but because I am nothing if not ambitious, this is actually my first time being a GM for a full campaign. And with that said, I'd like to introduce you to the cast who decided to join me for this wild ride. So let's start with Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris Klinecki. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I'm playing Poochton Ruckus. That's last name, first name, so he goes by Ruckus. A dogfolk graduating from the College of Sticks and Stones, which is a repaint of the Bardic College of Swords. I've been playing D&D for 6 years, not including a first foray back in high school, and have been DMing a continuous homebrew campaign since early 2019, but this is my first time playing a bard as a player.
Hi, I'm Anne Coleman. I use she, her pronouns. I'll be playing Clarice Sauercloud, who is a halfling bard graduating from Talmadge Hall, which is based loosely on the College of Whispers. I've been playing D&D since January of 2019.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashley Banks, pronouns she, her, hers. I am playing Belsernamiel, who is an Aasimar bard graduating from Flatley Hall, which is a recoloring of the College of Dance. I've been playing D&D for over a decade and very excited to expose the larger world to all of my antics.
Hi, I'm Ross Curry, he, him. I'm playing Endrick Harrowhold, also he, him. Endrick is a hobgoblin graduating from Urvara Hall. The build is based on the College of Tragedy bard from the Tal'Dorei Reborn campaign setting. And I've been playing D&D since the Halcyon days of 2nd edition for about 25 years.
I'm Bob Killian. I am playing Colonian Stumps, a turtle bard from the College of Sluvere. Sluvere focuses on medicine. And I've been playing D&D since college, sort of off and on. I've run a few games. I've played a few games. And Ross, you mentioned version 2. I don't go quite that far back, but I go back to version 3.5.
And we all skipped 4th edition.
Yes, that's correct.
And then also joining us at our table is our producer, Nate Runkle. You're not going to hear from Nate a lot, except that you are actually going to hear from Nate a whole lot because everything that you listen to will be touched by Nate's work. And now that we have all of that squared away, I invite you to sit back, relax, and let this absolutely ridiculous adventure begin. It's a beautiful morning in Shalomir. The lakeside capital city of Urvara is bustling. Today is a big day. It's graduation day at the Shalomir University of the Magical and Martial Arts, aka Mage Martial, the country's national university. This is where some of the most notable figures of Urvara's long history spent 4 or more formative years, attending lectures by some of the country's preeminent scholars, wandering the long hallways, spending sunny Saturdays in the botanical gardens and rainy Tuesdays in the beautiful, wood-paneled libraries where fairies flit about, capturing and sometimes consuming the insects that threaten the ancient tomes. But today, it's not just Mage Martial's commencement that's being celebrated. 30 years ago to this day, the university was the location of the official end of the cruel regime of Phineas Malveaux, the autocrat who held Urvara in his grip for half a century. The people's victory was made official here on the steps of the Monument to Knowledge, this grand roofless colonnade overlooking Lake Tannin on the edge of the Mage and Martial campus. Because of its location in the capital, Mage and Martial's graduation is always attended by some of the country's most powerful figures. But with the anniversary of the revolution that ended in this place happening concurrently, the campus is especially full of notable and influential Urvarans. Among these is Ivey Surnamiel, the mayor of the fortified town of Jubilantia in the western part of Urvara. Ivey is not just here to celebrate Urvara's independence or to perform in an official capacity at graduation, however. She is here celebrating her great-granddaughter's eminent graduation with brunch in the grand dining room at Flatley Hall. The lush red and gold draperies that cover every wall of the Flatley Hall dining room help to dampen the sound of the hundreds of people dining here. The high ceilings are also draped in rich textiles, not only muffling the celebrations happening below, but giving the entire room the feeling of a decadent tent. Soon-to-be grads sit surrounded by their proud families at round and rectangular tables and excitedly discuss their post-graduation plans. Ivey Surnamiel is seated at the very center table, beaming at her granddaughter. Ashley, please introduce your character.
Belle is an Aasimar, but you wouldn't know that she's not human at first glance. Maybe her ears are slightly more pointed than you'd expect. That could be just like regular genetic variation, and anyway, most of the time her hair is covering it. But it's not like she has big wings sprouting from her back or a halo perpetually floating overhead. Her angelic nature doesn't show in such obvious ways, but instead it's found in the sweetness of her smile, the grace with which she moves her body, the thick luster of her hair, and the fact that she never gets a blemish on her skin. She is of average height. She carries herself with a poise that implies that she is both A, a dancer, and B, has never, ever, ever been told no by anybody who matters in her entire life. Everything about her is soft, so she has soft curves all over her body, soft curves in her hair, soft dusting of metallic colored freckles across her face. Her hair is, like I said, thick waves. It tumbles around her head, coming to a swishy stop just above her shoulders. Her skin is a light brown and her hair is like a dark brown, but there are chunky blonde highlights just sort of mixed throughout. There is a pink streak in the back of her hair, and it's clear that she did try to sort of cover it up for the sake of this special occasion, and it wasn't going well, so she just fully gave up.
So she's owning it.
She's owning it. She's like, yes, and a pink streak.
So we know that Belle is here with Ivey, with her great-grandmother. Who else is she with?
Who else isn't she with? So her entire family has come. She's the first child to have been born since the fall of the autocracy, so this is a big deal. So her parents are here, her great-grandmother is here, uncles, cousins, anybody who is related to her in some capacity has definitely shown up in style. They're ready to celebrate. But most importantly is, of course, great-grandma, who she just calls Grandma, because who has time for greats? Grandma, you know you're great. And then, of course, her mom, Rita, and her dad, Mint. And so, yeah, they just fully took over a massive table in the dining hall. There's a lot of talking over each other. There's big hand gestures. There is glitter everywhere. Where is the glitter coming from? Maybe, some people, they breathe and out comes carbon dioxide, and some people, they breathe and out comes sparkles. It's normal. Don't question it.
So I assume you're sitting closer to great-grandma and your mom and your dad.
Yes. So generally the family has like a everybody's important kind of vibe, so it's not like, oh, great grandma's always at the head of the table, right? But in this instance, like, it's Belle's special day, and great grandma is great grandma, so she gets to pick where she's sitting, and she's sitting next to Belle.
Okay. So great grandma is going to look over you and just like stroke your hand. My darling girl, you are so beautiful.
Aw, thanks, Grandma.
I am just so proud of you. Tell me, darling, what did you get up to last night?
Oh my God, Grandma. Okay, so you know how we have the sponsor from Fairy Powder Plus? Well, the new shipment just came in last night. So me and the girls, we went out. We had an amazing time. We danced all night long. I don't actually remember any of it, but I know that we had a great time.
My girl, if you don't remember what happened last night, how are your friends doing today?
Oh, well, okay, so, like, I'm fine, because, you know, angelic, but I used Mom's hangover cure, and, like, made it in a big batch, passed it out, first thing this morning, everybody totally fine.
Your mom, on hearing this, beams at you because she's very proud of that hangover cure that she taught you when you were very young.
Probably alarmingly young.
And she just that's my girl. I'm so partying like your mother. I just couldn't be happier. Tell me, did you remember to make sure to include the cayenne pepper in that hangover cure? Roll a history check to see if you remember your mother's recipe.
Sure, let's check it out. That is a 16?
Yeah, okay. You remember your mom's recipe. It may have taken you a couple of minutes, but you remembered it.
Yeah.
So I'm so, and the cayenne is just, it's just such an important part of the recipe.
Oh, no, Mom, I totally remember the cayenne pepper. I remembered all the steps. I remembered to, like, spin it 3 times in one direction and the 4th time in the other direction. And just to make sure everybody's breath was extra fresh, I added a little bit of parsley.
Parsley?
Yeah.
You know that parsley causes bloating in this recipe.
Yeah. Of course I knew that.
Roll me a deception check.
Sure. Okay, hang on. At 17 plus 4, 21?
21 will definitely get it. Your mom believes that you
Yeah.
know that parsley causes bloating.
Yeah. Mom, of course I know that. But just in case I didn't know that, what was the, not that I would ever make that mistake, but what was the solution for that?
For bloating?
Yeah. With parsley specifically?
It's water. It's just water. You know this.
Yeah, just all the pixie powder. Yeah, definitely knew that. Yes, great. Yeah, so, like, I gave it to them, and then I was like, drink lots of water, and Belle is going to take out, like, a piece, like a napkin, and she's just going to write, I don't know where she pulled it from, but she has, like, one of these pink glitter gel pens with, like, the big feather on it, and she's going to write in super bubbly handwriting, like, water now, and it's gonna be like the cutest, sparkliest handwriting, and it just, the now is underline, exclamation mark. And I assume that, like, there's servers, but also just wherever grandma is, there's unseen servants just, like, around. So Belle's just gonna be like, I'll give this to Brittany right now, please, thank you.
So the slip of paper is going to leave your hand and just kind of, like, float across the room.
Yeah.
And do you also need to be drinking water for this?
I think no, because I have, like, the angelic. I probably didn't need the hangover cure. That's my. But you know what? Yeah, I think no. Now that you say it, Belle definitely took the cure just to be extra safe, because, like, the big performance was today. And then she's like, and now to be extra safe, I'm going to be so hydrated.
So you're drinking some water, and your little note has floated away. Meanwhile, your father, Mint, your dad?
Mint, yes.
Mint is sitting at the table on the other side of you, And you've all ordered, but because you have such a large party and because the dining room is so very busy, your food hasn't arrived yet. Mm-hmm. And your dad is looking around the room, and he's just, like, checking out what everybody else in the room is eating and doing that thing where, like, oh, I could have ordered that.
Plate envy.
Clearly, yeah, big plate envy, but also just, like, hungry. Your dad he's not a big guy. He just has a really fast metabolism. You don't remember very many times in your life where he didn't have, like, a snack in his pocket. Mm-hmm. He's got, like, a little icebox under his desk where he can keep his snacks and stuff. So, like,
when she was growing up, like, Mint always had treats for her.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh my God, this is the best. And then she got older and realized that the treats were not for her. They were just always around.
Yeah, exactly. So he's looking around, and his eyes land on a plate of grapes, which are one of his favorite foods. And he's going to point at the dish across the room and wait until the people at that table seem distracted. And then he's just going to have a cluster of grapes kind of levitate across the room and land on his plate. Have you seen your dad do things like this before?
Oh, yeah, this is very normal. And she's probably going to be like, Dad, like...
And he's going to shove a handful of grapes in his mouth. Like, it's okay, nobody saw me. Right? Nobody saw me?
Yeah, I guess. And she's going to reach over and, like, take a grape because, like, he already stole them.
Right.
So.
And he's going to, like, wink at you while you do that. So tell me about, how are the plans for the festival going?
Oh, they're going super good. So I don't know if you got the confirmation last week, but Third Mice Blind is confirmed. They're going to be performing.
I do remember seeing something about that. He's, like, just shoving grapes in his mouth. But I'm not really familiar with that band. Could you tell me a little bit what they're like so we can figure out where to put them on the lineup?
Oh my God, they're so good. They're like 3 mouse folk, right? And they come out and they like come on stage and they're like, oh, we can't see anything. Where are our instruments? But then they're like, whoa, we know exactly where our instruments are. And then they start playing like the keyboards with their tails and they have like this whole bit. It's amazing. My friends love them. Everybody's going to love them. They're great.
That certainly sounds interesting. Hold on one second. And he's just going to, like, pull his napkin up over his plate and kind of wave his hand. And then what had been an almost entirely bare stem of grapes now is full of grapes again. And he shoves another handful of grapes in his mouth. His grapes have multiplied. Mm-hmm. And after that, he's like, so, I know that booking the whole festival is not on you, but you did say that you wanted to, like, have a big part in this year. So who else have you lined up?
Okay, so I don't know yet if she's going to be able to come for the first week or the second week, but we're going to have Lizard.
Who?
Oh my God, Lizard? You have to know Lizard. Okay. She's the one who just came out with the clothing line that's like for all body types, right? Mom, come on, Mom.
Yeah, of course, darling. You know, she's the one who twerks and plays tambourine.
Yes. She does all of it while singing. It's super intense.
It sounds fascinating. Anybody else that I should know about?
I mean, like a whole bunch. I mean, hold on. We have and then we have like the third stage, and then there's I keep trying to get one of my classmates to perform, but he's like, oh, I don't know if it's time for me to take the platform when the platform should be peace or whatever. But all together, and she starts like adding up on her fingers, but then she runs out of fingers, and she like has this moment where she doesn't know what to do, and then she just reaches to her left where like some random aunt or uncle is and just like picks up their hand and starts counting on their fingers. They don't seem to mind, and then she's like, yeah, I think we have like 25 so far.
That's really impressive. That's like just shoving grapes in his mouth. That's like almost half of what you need for the first weekend.
Yeah, thanks.
So I mean, and tell me if you want me to take this one over, because I'm more than happy to. But I know you said you're gonna try to reach out to Paul McCartfree, his people. How's that going?
Oh my God, Dad, we met like over spring break, and he is so cute. Like really sweet, so retro.
Retro?
Yeah, like good retro, you know, like when you have a thing that's not new anymore. But like good like, you know, that like your old gramophone, like it's not new, but everyone loves it.
I mean, I still struggle to think that the music of my youth is that retro, but I mean, I guess I am. And he starts to do the same thing you were doing, where he's like counting on his fingers and runs out of fingers. He's like, you know what? Never mind.
I have another grape, Dad.
Great idea. And he just, not a grape, but like another handful of grapes that just keep replenishing themselves on his plate. Shoves another handful of grapes into his mouth. I'm very proud of you, Belle. You are a very impressive young woman.
Thank you. Oh, Dad.
So you're going to kind of like do the little side hug, lean over to him. And as you're doing that, your food is arriving. What did Belle order?
Okay, so everybody knows, after a long night of partying, you need carbs. So she has a whole stack of waffles. There is more syrup on it than waffles, and she's like adding more syrup as she goes. She also has ordered a lot of leafy greens with like an absurd amount of nuts and berries and like every trendy superfood that you can imagine, all combined into just like this nightmare salad on top of the waffles. And then just to make sure it goes down easy, there's definitely powdered sugar on top of all of it.
So stack of waffles.
Yeah.
Stack of leafy greens.
Yeah.
Nuts, berries, seeds, etc.
All the superfoods.
Powdered sugar.
Yeah.
So that sounds horrific.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, your grandmother looks at your plate, picks up a fork, and just like puts a fork right in the middle of your plate.
Yes. Yes, Grandma, yes.
Your mother and father are aghast at this. As much as your father loves food, this
is taking all the things he loves and making it an abomination.
So Grandma takes it. She's like, Grandma probably introduced you to this style of eating, yeah?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Mom and Dad are just aghast. Actually, roll me a perception check.
That is a nat 1.
Oh God, getting the bad rolls out early.
Yeah, you know it.
Okay, so
First nat 1 in the game, right?
First nat 1 of the campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody else has had a chance to roll one yet. You were first. So what you don't notice is that the room is starting to empty and it's getting quieter. Instead, you just keep like digging in to your plate of food.
Oh yeah, Dad, you really need to try this. It's so good.
Dad looks at you like, you know what? I think I'm good. It's like the first time you've ever heard your father turn down food.
Belle takes that personally. She's like, she stops, she swallows. No, Dad, she sips some water. I mean it. Like, have I ever steered you wrong? No, I've not. Try some.
I think that's going to require a persuasion check.
All right. That is 17 plus 5, so 22.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be enough.
Ha!
Yeah.
Eat it.
So Dad is going to tentatively kind of reach his fork out onto your plate, and he's going to like stare at it as it's coming toward his mouth, like he can't believe that he's going to do this. Like, this is a man who loves food, and this seems to
He's got to psych himself up.
This is anathema to everything he believes in. Like, he loves food so much, and this is a travesty. But still, like he said he would try it, and he's gonna pinch his nose shut, and put the fork in his mouth, and like give it a couple of chews. And like unpinch his nose, because when you have your nose pinched shut, it affects like how things taste. So he's gonna unpinch it to be like, is that actually as good as what I think I'm tasting? He's gonna unpinch his nose. That's actually delicious.
I have to imagine that both Belle and her grandmother are, like, leaning forward in their seats, like,
You're right, Belle.
yes!
And instead of reaching on to take another forkful off of your plate again, he's just going to, like, magic some of the food off of your plate and onto his.
Yeah.
So the room has completely emptied out. The servers aren't even, like, coming around to check on you to bring more food.
Not that we even notice, because my dad just keeps refilling
He
everything.
just keeps refilling the food. At some point, a check floats onto the table. With that nat 1, you don't notice the check has hit the table.
We're all we're eating, we're talking, we're gesticulating, we're glittering.
So after check has been on the table for several minutes now, and the doors fly open, and Brittany is going to come just racing in. She's like, we're running very, very late. What are you doing? We're supposed to be dancing on the stage at graduation in 4.5 minutes.
What?
Dancing? Graduation? 4.5 minutes?
Okay, sure. And she's just gonna, like, finish the, like, mouth, like, the forkful that she has. I'm gonna chew. Mom, Dad, Grandma, everybody else, I love you. I gotta go. Bye.
And as you start to stand up, your grandmother's going to reach up for your arm. Like, wait, Belle, where are we supposed to sit today?
She just, like, swallows, and she's like, I don't know. You're a fancy person, so probably near the front. Like, I don't know. They're gonna put your names on the chairs or something.
What happens if there aren't enough seats for all of us?
Then you go to the other seats for all the regular people, or I guess you're fine. I gotta go. I love you. Bye.
And then your father is going to reach up and hold you by the hand. He's like, wait, when you talk to Paul McCartfridge people, did they tell you about...
Dad, I have to go.
Okay, yes, I love you. I'm very proud of you. We'll see you back here for dinner after graduation.
Yes. Bye. She's like doing air kisses, and she just, like, turns around, and as she's, like, air kissing, she's backing away so that people can stop grabbing her arm, and then she turns around and sprints out of the room.
Across the cobblestone square from Flatley Hall, things are unusually quiet at Enchanted Grounds, the normally bustling coffee shop known for its strong brews and weekly open mic nights. Enchanted Grounds occupies an oligarchy-era building, impressively square, clad in slabs of gray stone on the outside and white brick on the inside. To soften the severity of the space, the owners of Enchanted Grounds have filled it with color and texture. Overstuffed velvet sofas in bright jewel tones and nest-like chairs are clustered around tables built to be the perfect height for the seats surrounding them. The walls are hung with both vintage tapestries and new art by Mage Martial students, and a wood-burning stove in the corner has been enchanted to keep the room at the perfect temperature, no matter the season. Behind an ornately carved wooden counter, standing on several overturned milk crates, a young woman is scribbling in a journal. Anne, can you please introduce your character?
So Clarice is quite small, under 3 feet tall, petite. In sort of other species, she would be seen as a child by her size, maybe 60 pounds wet. She is has very dark features, eyes that are technically brown but look shiny black. Her hair is just as dark, pin straight, aggressively straight. She couldn't get it to curl if she tried. It's in a sharp, angled cut bob, and each of her features seems to be fighting to look sharper, competing to have a more sharpened edge than the next. Pointed chin, anything that's soft, she seems to add a bright color to, or a dark color. So her lips are often covered in dark lip liner and things to sort of harshen her features. She wants to look fierce. Even with all this effort, she's somebody who can easily blend into a crowd. She's a bit of a social chameleon. She likes reading the room and watching from afar. But she also could have easily been a child pickpocket had she been born into a different life. She is very sarcastic. Her voice is clearly an intentional affect, not how she was raised to speak, nor is it how she would talk in her sleep. She is feminine in her body, but enjoys contrast just as the colors and angles of her intentional appearance show off. And so she likes to be a little tougher than is necessary, a little bit harsher with her jokes than the situation calls for. She doesn't say much when she first encounters people, but she does like to play a little game with herself when folks enter the coffee shop of trying to guess their order before they make it.
So because the coffee shop is so empty, there's nobody in there right now, and Clarice is writing in her journal. What is she writing?
Clarice is in the middle of a pro and con list about whether or not she should continue with her plans to join the party that she's been planning to join. Clarice has a lot of thoughts and very little feeling when it comes to what her next steps are. She's sort of lost track of her gut because she's had so many conversations and so many people trying to influence and change her thinking. Right now, her plan is to go adventuring for a couple years, to get to know Urvara and to live as her own person, not under the shadow of her parents. But as she writes these pro and con lists, you can see she's organized it into 4 columns, one for each of the political parties of the nation, and one for a completely different path, forging a new future.
The Enchanted Grounds owner, who is a kobold named Strung Brew Chaser, comes out from the back of the coffee shop. She is tall only by the standards of Clarice. She is loud and boisterous and has been a very kind boss to Clarice and often tries to get Clarice to open up to her, but Clarice has not yet really revealed much of who she is to Strung. Strung stops as she walks into the front part of the coffee shop and almost seems startled to see Clarice there.
Oh, Clarice, I forgot that you were here today.
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate your offering double overtime, so I'm in.
Well, yes, I mean, nobody ever wants to work on graduation. I was very surprised to learn that you wanted to work on graduation, seeing it as it's your graduation year.
Yeah, I mean, it's no big deal. I'm happy to be here, and, it's so nice when it's quiet in here and you can just think, you know?
I mean, I don't really like when it's quiet in here because it's my business and I need the business to be doing well, but if you like the quiet, that's fine. Are you quite sure that you're okay with missing out on your graduation?
Oh, yeah. I mean, my parents aren't even there. I told them not to come. It's fine. And obviously, I want to make that money.
Yes, because I do pay you quite generously here.
You're the best.
Aren't you concerned about missing out on this memory?
Nah, I mean, what are they gonna have, 5 politicians giving pompous speeches up there? We've heard it all. It's not like they're gonna say something new.
But what about your friends? What about just celebrating your last 4 years? This is quite an accomplishment.
Oh, you're so sweet. No, it's not. It's not an accomplishment.
Yeah, but it really is.
Thanks, I think.
Yes, that is the appropriate response here. You're welcome. If you don't need me for anything, I'm going to head to graduation myself. My niece is graduating today. I'm just going to grab my purse in the back and I'll walk out the back door. So, enjoy the quiet, I guess?
Thank you. It's the best. But, if anybody comes in, I promise I'll, upsell some pastry.
Okay. Thank you, Clarice. You have a nice day.
You too.
So Strung turns and walks out. You hear her footsteps receding
pausing while she grabs her things from the back and then continuing out the back door. Once you're sure she's gone, you notice that there was a letter that she had put on the counter addressed to you. Delivered to the coffee shop, not delivered to your dormitory. Do you open the letter?
Yes, but I first get a little bit of water bubbling, heat up just in the tea kettle, and I'm going to steam it open just in case I need to reseal it.
Okay, why don't you roll let's call that a performance check.
That is a 14.
You get it about 3/4 of the way steamed open, and then just as you're getting to that last couple of inches, your finger slips and you rip the corner.
Whatever, it's fine.
All right, so you have this letter. You open it, and you recognize your mother's handwriting.
I begin to read, sighing deeply as I go.
Dear Clarice, we're sorry we couldn't be there for you today, but not really, because you told us not to come and to take a vacation instead. We were unsure about whether to surprise you at your commencement anyway, but things have been so stressful in Platysima and our preparations for the upcoming election, so we decided to take you at your word that you wouldn't be upset with us for not being in Shalomir. Seabright really is so lovely this time of year, and besides, you know how your father and I generally shirk formal ceremonies. I understand that Gideon Stormcaller is the commencement speaker this year. He called on your father last time he was in Platysima, and he really is a lovely man, even if I don't see eye to eye with him on, well, most things, really. Your father says to tell him hello if you have the opportunity, but I don't suppose you will, seeing as you're probably shirking the graduation proceedings yourself. Like parents, like daughter, I suppose. And on that note, darling, your father and I were wondering whether you had yet decided whether you were clerking with me for the Greens or with your father for the Violets when you return to Platysima and start clerking at the Busboro Group. We don't want to put any pressure on you at all, and as you know, we're quite open to you starting a third branch if you're more interested in working with the Corals. But, of course, we would need to bring someone in as your supervisor because, as much as we love and trust you, we don't think you're ready to assume operations for an entire new division. In any case, we want to know where to set up your desk and which clients to assign to you, or whether we need to start looking for a supervisor for you. After all, you do start next week. I hear your father calling me from the other room. I think it's time for our spa appointment, so that's all for now. Do write back and let me know your thoughts when you have a moment. All my love, MJ Busboro, Esquire. And then that bottom part, the signature is scratched out, and the words, your mother, are written over the scribble, followed by a postscript. Sorry, darling, habit. See you next week.
Classic. Clarice, upon reading this, takes a deep breath, rips a piece of paper out of her journal, and begins drafting a reply. She gets to Mom in Dear Mom and scribbles it out. MJ? No. She scribbles it out again.
As she's staring at this piece of paper before her, she hears the bells of the front door open. And a tall, elderly half-elf wearing academic robes walks toward the counter. Do you recognize this person? Roll an intelligence check.
14.
So you know that this is Dr. Sink. Dr. Sink is the dean at Broxton College. You don't really know much about Broxton College. You've really kept to yourself for the last few years. But although Dr. Sink is a frequent visitor of Enchanted Grounds, you find yourself unable to remember his order.
Hi. Is it... remind me, what can I get for you?
Darling girl, that is so kind of you to ask. I'm running quite late, but I was hoping, I know that it's springtime, and this is perhaps a tall order. And again, I am running quite late, so tell me if this is not possible, and we'll figure something else out. But I would like to have a Mage's Wintry Mix. Are you familiar? Do you know that one?
It's an 18.
18. So you remember that this is a coffee cocktail,
because that's how it's positioned at the at the.
What time of the morning is it now? It's 5 o'clock somewhere, right?
This is it's a little bit before 10 in the morning.
Dr. Sink.
Yeah.
You
could be Dr. A.
You must know Belle's parents.
Yes. So it comes kind of flooding back to you, like, oh right, that's why I see this man frequently, because he always has a little something extra that he puts into his coffee in the mornings on his way to class. But it's actually something different every time, because he's worried that like he's going to perhaps be called out on it. So the Mage's Wintry Mix is a quadruple espresso with a shot of caramel and a raspberry essenced liqueur. This is not something that you ever have available in the spring, because who wants a caramel coffee cocktail at 10 o'clock in the morning when it's a beautiful, sunny, warm day outside? So you know that you're going to have to go out to the back to get these ingredients.
Clarice is going to start brewing some espresso. Loose pack. She knows that the best espresso isn't incorrectly tightly packed, and she's quite proud of this. So loosely packs the espresso, loads the machine, and then turns to him again and says, now, traditionally, I would put some raspberry liqueur in there, but I'm wondering how you would feel if I just got a little bit of my boss's cordial from her office instead.
Roll persuasion.
That was a natural 20 with my modifier of 6.
First nat 20 of the campaign.
So we've crit failed and hit a nat 20.
All right.
Nothing else to do.
Bye, everyone. Time to go home.
Great campaign, Jill. This has been amazing.
Dr. Sink leans over the counter very conspiratorially to you and says, what kind of cordial?
Give me just a second. Clarice is gonna put one eye on the cash register and make sure it's firmly closed, and then duck behind what I imagine is like a bead curtain.
Yeah, something like that.
Just around the corner.
Okay. Roll an investigation check for me.
That's a 13.
So with a 13, you head back. Strung's office is just kind of off to the side. It's not straight back. There's like the storage area and the little kitchen, and then you've got Strung's office behind another door. So this involves you having to move a little bit more off to the side. When you get in there, you start to fish around, looking for that hidden bottle of cordial that you know Strung normally keeps in a drawer in her desk. You don't see it there. You walk out of the office thinking maybe you will just have to find that raspberry cordial, but you can still get away with telling Dr. Sink that it's the special cordial. It's just not that just raspberry liqueur that's so generic. And as you start to walk back, roll me another investigation check.
That's a 9.
Okay. With a 9, you grab that bottle of raspberry liqueur. You put a hand over the label. You begin to walk back into the coffee shop. And we're going to stop there.
Across the alleyway from the back door of Enchanted Grounds is a steep set of stone stairs. This is the entrance to Urvara Hall, one of the oldest and most storied colleges at Mage Martial. Up the stairs, across a portico, and up another flight of stairs is the Urvara Hall reading room. The room is large, and the wood paneling makes it feel dark, but it is still filled with a filtered light. A southern-facing stained glass window casts violet and silver shapes across the room's flat surfaces, and at the far end of the room, colorless flames rage in the enormous fireplace known as the Everhearth, but they give off no heat. A soul figure sits at a table at the far end of the room. Ross, who are we meeting?
Sitting over the desk is a red-skinned young man with pointed ears, reddish-brown hair. His most noticeable feature is his yellow eyes. Andric Harrowhold is a hobgoblin. He's the youngest of his siblings, but he's the most like his father in appearance, but the least like him in temperament. On the desk, you see 3 coffee cups. 2 of them are completely consumed. 1 of them is a work in progress, and a completely uneaten croissant. He looks over at the gramophone, and the harpsichord music that's coming from there stops for a moment, and then you see the record levitate, flip over, and resume on the other side. The room smells of a little bit of nightshade, and Andric pours over a stack of parchment, and on the top he is writing over and over again, Honus Rast. And he just keeps looking at this tome, trying to make sense of it all.
What is the tome?
It is part of the archive from the entire university library about the alumni, because he has a duty to do and he wants to make sure he does it right, but something is frustrating him about it.
What is frustrating?
We came to this place, if not remarkable on our own, then to do remarkable things when we leave. And what he's reading, he's seeing a lot of stuff that is not remarkable about the alumni.
You'll never meet a greater adversary than your own potential.
It's your graduation day. Why are you sitting in the reading room going over this?
He constantly look over the Everhearth. He looks to the long sword that hangs there, and it's an honor and a privilege to read the Roll of Remembrance, and he wants to do right by these names, but is frustrated or disappointed that this is a storied university, and yet he's looking for the heroes, and there aren't any in this list.
You hear a knock on the door. Without waiting for a response, it opens. There is a tall tabaxi, cat-like person, humanoid, standing there. If we lived in this world that we the players are in, she would look like a Black Panther. Tall and sleek and so black that when she stands in the shadows, you don't see that she's there except for her glowing green eyes. She's wearing academic robes with a sash the color of the Urvara Hall, the sash the colors of Urvara Hall.
Violet and silver.
Violet and silver. She's got a sash that is violet and silver. This is Dr. Burningfire, which you've always thought was an interesting name, given that one of her duties is to be the keeper of the Everhearth. May I come in?
Always. You need not ask, Professor, always.
I do hope I'm not interrupting.
Not at all.
Roll me a deception check.
Deception, you said?
Yep.
15.
She accepts what you said, that nothing is really bothering you. And she crosses the room toward you to where the fireplace is and kind of pushes an armchair over toward the fireplace. Could you give me a hand with this?
Of course, Professor.
So she holds out her hand for you to support her, and she steps up on the armchair, and you kind of feel the weight of her as she sinks. The armchair is softer than she realized, but she's pretty tall, and she doesn't need too much support to reach up over the fireplace and take down the sword that hangs there. Have you seen this sword before?
I've seen it every day for the last 4 years.
Have you seen it up close before?
Once.
When was that?
When I was initiated.
What was the initiation process?
We came into this very room, and Professor Sheldrake held the sword, and each of us ran our finger across it and gave a drop of blood.
Looking at it up close again, how do you feel?
Nervous. It's a weird mix of pride and anxiety for what my role is about to be.
As Dr. Burning Fire steps down from the armrest using your hand for support, she's quite close to your face, and she just kind of tilts ahead to one side, and you see those intense, glowing eyes. You seem apprehensive.
I thought we were here to do or become remarkable.
My boy, I would argue you are remarkable.
Professor, I believe that, but no, I don't. I've been reviewing the biographies from the archives for the role of Remembrance, and there's a tailor, an under Minister of Finance from the autocracy. There's several who have passed completely, after they left, for lack of a better word, anonymously. What are we supposed to become?
Remarkable.
I don't see it in the archive. These people are not remarkable.
Andric, the thing that you must learn, the thing that you should have learned over these 4 years is there are many ways to be remarkable.
Perhaps the page is the problem.
How do you mean?
These people had lives, right?
Of course.
The words on the page don't convey them.
There are those whose stories are to be told, and there are those who are to be anonymous. That does not mean that all were not remarkable.
Peels off just like a little piece of the end of the croissant from the desk and pops it in his mouth, chews, and looks at from where she removed the sword, looks at the coat of arms that's there.
Describe it.
It is a shield, gray field with a tome. There's a skull on it with vines and flowers growing out of the eye socket, and the crest is a blazing sun with a crescent moon eclipsing it.
Dr. Burning Fire gives you a moment, and then she says, "Are you ready for today?"
As ready as I'm going to be, and he will take the sword from her.
She lets him have the sword and also reaches into the pocket of her gown and hands you the official roll of Remembrance. What you've been preparing with is a copy. This one has been written by scribes. It's prepared especially for the graduation ceremony every year.
Got it.
You notice that she looks up to the coat of arms also. Andric, I do believe you will be remarkable. But first, I need to know that you are going to take extremely good care of this sword.
It'll be an hour, and then it will be back above the hearth.
The sword has been carried by the marshals of Urvara Hall for centuries. I expect you to bring it back to me straight away.
Of course.
Take very, very good care of it.
I will. Thank you, Professor.
She reaches out and gives you a little pat on the shoulder and walks out of the room. The ceremonies are beginning soon. And then she leaves. What do? You have the sword and the scroll now.
I pick up the long duster jacket that is draped over the chair at that reading desk and throw the duster jacket on, tuck the scroll into the inside pocket of it, and then the sheath has a leather strap on it, and I throw it over one shoulder, tighten it, and just take a deep breath, look again at the coat of arms, and leave the room.
Roll me a perception check on your way out the door.
Garbage.
Not even specified, just garbage.
That's a total of a 7.
Yeah, no, that's not going to be enough. All right, so you start to walk out of the room. On your way out, the graduation robes of all of the Urvara Hall students are hanging from their doors. And you get to the end of the hall where your room is. What do you do?
I give a quick knock at my own room.
Nothing happens.
I grab my robe and I throw it over my shoulder, because I'm trying to figure out how, with the jacket and the sword, I'm supposed to do this.
We're going to pause there, and you can figure that out on your way to graduation.
Got it.
Andric exits quickly down the stairs and across the portico. Below the portico is a courtyard built around a large round lawn, in the center of which sits an enchanted apple tree that bears fruit all year long. If you keep looking across the courtyard past the tree, you'll see a short, squat building that seems on first appearance as if it might collapse at any moment. But in truth, this building has stood longer than many of the others around it, and it was designed to outlast them all. This is Youngham College, but most of the students at Mage Martial call it the College of Sticks and Stones. Just inside the front door, a lone, soon-to-be graduate sits in the Youngham College foyer. Chris, who are we meeting?
I'm playing Poochton Ruckus. That's last name, first name, so he goes by Ruckus. Ruckus is a dogfolk, which is a homebrew race, just part beast and part humanoid. If you've ever seen a Tibetan Mastiff, you'll have a good idea of what he looks like, only bigger. He's about 5 feet tall when on all fours, and about 8 feet tall if he gets up on his hind legs. This very large dogfolk who plays on Mage Martial's bug ball team, he's got darker brown fur on the flank, with a beige bordering on off-white tummy, and a respectably medium-length poofy brown tail that usually curls back up his spine. Ruckus's fur is extra long and shaggy around his shoulders, neck, and his head. It's almost like a mane. It covers his floppy ears, and sometimes it gets in his eyes, or at least it gets in the one eye that isn't covered with an eye patch that he wears all the time since he was a kid. He's very jowly with snow-white fangs and a large pink tongue that's frequently blepping out of his mouth, especially when he's sleeping. Dogfolk don't usually wear clothes, but in addition to the eye patch that Ruckus wears, he's also taken to wearing bug ball pants, which are this eye-catching forest green sheen, and they have a brilliant orange stripe down one leg. And there's also a dark olive green bicocket hat that he wears, with a large oriole feather tucked gently to one side. And he's also rarely seen without trusty sky blue stinky old gym sneakers that he's been wearing for years. But not since he got to Mage Martial. He started wearing those when he got there. One more important thing I should mention about Ruckus is that while he understands the common tongue, dogfolk mouths are not built for common speech. So instead, while he's been a Mage Martial, Ruckus has begun learning how to use bark buttons, which he wears on a sash across his one shoulder to help communicate with non-dogfolk. For example,
Hello, Ruckus. You? Question mark?
And how is Ruckus's day going?
I'd say it's been good. Ruckus, he's been hanging out alone on the sitting room's long wooden bench for the last few minutes. Even though he knows it will be covered by his graduation attire, he's currently decked right now in his bug ball uniform, and he's bent over carefully lacing up his trusty, very smelly old sneakers. He's a bit anxious, but not just because he's about to graduate, also because he'll be the first dogfolk in generations to graduate from Mage Martial, so he's feeling a lot of pressure to be the best boy he can be.
Aw.
But it's been a pretty good morning. He's been up since before dawn, starting the day with his usual morning calisthenics.
Okay, I have to ask, what do his calisthenics look like?
Oh, it's mostly running around his dorm room in tight circles chasing his tail. And after that, he went outside to enjoy the morning mist and have a pre-breakfast butterfly chase in the nearby field.
And what does Ruckus like to have for breakfast?
His favorite thing to have is a whole bunch of bananas. And now that he's eaten his bananas, now that he's gotten dressed, and now that he's gingerly gnawed at the tip of his wooden spear to ensure that it is as sharp as can be, he's going to open Youngham's wrought iron doors and step outside.
Roll a perception check.
14.
You hear a clock chime in the distance, You know that there was there had been a certain number of chimes you were supposed to listen for to tell you that it was time to go to graduation. But you're not entirely sure if this is the right number of chimes.
Oh.
Roll me another perception check.
10. Right in the middle of the poker.
Normally, you're very attuned to all of the small critters that can be found on the Mage Martial campus.
Oh, yes.
The squirrels, the birds.
The butterflies this morning?
Butterflies, the bugs, yes. So you're very surprised when a squirrel starts to dart across your path, but you didn't smell it coming.
That's surprising.
Chris, what do you do once this squirrel runs across your path?
Ooh, let's go see where he's going. I'll do a perception check. Ooh, 19. Where's he going?
It's heading in the direction away from the stadium where the graduation ceremony is.
Ooh, which way should I go? It's graduation, but there's a squirrel.
Right, yeah, so which way do you go?
Let's roll an intelligence check to see. That's a 2.
Yeah, you start running after the squirrel.
Oh, let's go! Squirrel!
The squirrel has quite a head start on you.
I'm gonna get down on all fours and start at, when I go down on all fours, I can run a little bit faster than when I'm on just my 2 legs.
Right. Okay, so the squirrel is already about 50 feet past you. It's real fast.
It's gonna take me about 6 turns to catch up to him.
Well, since we're not an initiative, we don't need to worry so much about that, but would you roll me an athletics check, please?
Oh, happily. 10.
The squirrel is still pretty far ahead of you.
No,
The squirrel starts to double back, and it runs toward that enchanted apple tree in the center of the courtyard.
Oh, it's my favorite apple tree. Let's go to the apple tree.
All right. Roll me another athletics check.
Oh, boy. Oh, that's a 25.
Just as the squirrel is getting to the first branch of the apple tree, Ruckus leaps up onto that branch. Ruckus? What? We're gonna get canceled so fast.
The first kill of the campaign is going to be a squirrel.
No, he's just gonna skin its tail. Like he's just gonna strip its
I
fur.
just want to see what it's doing.
Okay,
Catch it and not know what to do with it.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I
So
wanna catch
Ruckus,
it.
what happens when you wind up on the branch next to the squirrel?
Well, I want to do speak to animals. Maybe burn a first level spell slot before this thing gets going to see what he's thinking.
Sure.
Great. Okay, so I'll do an intelligence saving throw to see if I remember to save my spell slots for later.
Okay.
How's that sound?
That sounds smart.
Great. Oh, 15 saving throw.
Okay, so with the 15 saving throw, you second guess yourself,
Oh, maybe I shouldn't speak with the squirrel.
but you do notice that the squirrel is kind of like gotten up on its hind legs with its back against the tree trunk and is looking very fearfully at you.
Oh, maybe I startled the squirrel. Maybe it's just as surprised as I was to see it.
The squirrel starts to do that thing where they chatter. And
I'm
it's
gonna push my little button and I'm gonna say,
Hello.
The squirrel leaps because he's not used to hearing that noise coming from the squirrel has seen you around campus before. It knows who you are. You are the only dog folk around campus.
Hard to
It
miss,
has been
8 feet tall.
chased. It has been chased by you in the past. This is the first time it has heard you speak.
I'm gonna push the button again.
Hello.
I'm gonna push my other button.
Ruckus.
I gesture to myself. I hold up my paw to shake.
The squirrel very tentatively starts to walk toward you and sniffs your hand.
Can I do an animal handling check?
You may.
All right, let's see if I can get 8.
No, sorry.
Oh.
It sniffs your hand and then jumps back toward the tree trunk.
Ooh. And I'm gonna say goodbye, but I can't say that, so I'm gonna say,
No. Hello.
and I'm gonna wait for it and jump down the tree.
Roll me an acrobatics check.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. Okay. 7.
You are going to not stick the landing.
Oh, I didn't know how high up I was.
The branch is not very strong. So as you start to jump down, you hear the branch beginning to crack.
Oh.
And instead of jumping down and landing on all fours, which is what you were expecting to do, you do that thing where when a dog is playing and it jumps up in the air and it lands on its back instead, with the legs up in the air.
Oh.
And you're going to take
I landed on my wooden shield. Oh.
8 points of falling damage.
Oh, that was. Oh, I'm gonna need to go to the infirmary for that.
First damage roll of the campaign, and it's from falling out of a tree. Roll me another perception check.
As he's falling.
No, after he's fallen.
23.
A new perspective laying on your back.
Yes. Yeah. So because you're laying on your back,
up from down here.
yeah, you're laying on. So you're lower than you're used to being, which means the scents that you're catching are lower to the ground than what you're used to, and you smell a fresh waffle cone and ice cream being consumed somewhere near you.
Oh, maybe that'll heal some hit points.
What do you do?
I'm gonna see if I can get up and then go see where that is. Do I roll a perception check to follow my nose?
I think with the perception check that you rolled,
I know exactly where it is.
Yeah, you know
let's go check
exactly
it
where
out.
it is. Across the courtyard, the courtyard is round. So this would be like the western end of the courtyard. You see a small goblin child who is eating this enormous ice cream cone.
Oh, it looks so tasty. I hope the goblin child's enjoying it.
What do you do as you approach the goblin child?
I'm gonna go and say hello. So I'm gonna walk up to it. I'll walk up to the goblin child, and I will say
Hello.
I'll go, woof! I'm gonna wave my little hand.
The goblin child starts to giggle.
I'm gonna point at myself, and I'm gonna push the button. I'm gonna say,
Ruckus.
Ruckus?
Ruckus.
Ruckus!
Yes.
Woo! Hi, Ruckus!
Hello. You? Question mark?
Me?
Yes.
I don't know if I'm supposed to talk to strangers.
Understand.
You see that she looks really disappointed because she wants to pet the big fluffy dog, but her mom told her not to talk to strangers.
can I roll a
But our
persuasion
dog's
check to see if I can,
strangers.
get down on,
A dog that talks is a stranger. Yes, you can roll.
fair.
Yes.
Okay, let's do a persuasion. Let's make sure I know what my modifier is before I do it. Oh, not too bad.
If you're particularly persuasive, can you do that little chirpy whine noise that dogs make when they really want?
At a 20, I think I get to go
Yeah.
down my forepaws with my
The
rear
play
end
bow?
up and go.
And the little girl giggles again. I'm Daisy.
Hello.
Hi.
You? Dog folk? Question mark?
What?
No. Understand. Question mark?
Can I pet you?
Yes. Yes.
All right, so she's going to kind of toddle over to you. She's holding the ice cream. Roll me a dex check.
Straight up dex?
Just straight up dexterity.
10.
So some ice cream starts to drip out of her ice cream cone, but it lands just far enough away that you can't lick it up while she's petting you.
Oh, it smells pretty good, but this is also pretty good.
And she starts to pet you, and she's one hand here, one hand holding the ice cream, and a trickle of ice cream actually drips into your eye.
The one that doesn't have the eye patch on it.
The one that doesn't have the eye patch on it.
Okay, I'm gonna try to, I guess, blink it out. Would that be like a sleight of eye check?
Yeah, I think you're gonna try to lick
I can try to lick it off, yeah, sure. So,
let's make that
a sleight of tongue.
I think sleight of hand for this, yeah.
Alright, cool. 17.
You get it?
Oh, no, how's it taste?
It's delicious.
Oh, it's so delicious.
I'm gonna roll for her. As you do that, she throws a leg over you and starts to she wants to ride like you're a little pony.
She's gonna need to do a persuasion or an animal handling. I am part beast, part humanoid. I'll let you choose.
We're gonna do persuasion check. Let me pull up the child stat block because I had it.
And would you have me roll against this to see who wins out? Great.
Yeah. Yours, it's going to be an intelligence check.
Great,
Actually,
she's probably gonna win.
Intelligence saving throw against her.
Great, she's probably gonna win. -1!
She only rolled a 5.
Where are we going? We're off to the races.
She swings a leg over you and forgets the ice cream cone. Just throws the ice cream cone on the ground, buries her hands in your
Great.
fluff and
I'm on all
pulls
fours.
back.
I'm gonna roll back. I'm gonna go. And I'm gonna say,
Go. Question mark?
Well, don't forget, she just dropped the ice cream cone in front of you, so now you have a decision to make.
can I actually,
Yes.
can I point at it with my one paw and say,
Give. Ruckus. Question mark?
and it's like on the ground, like it's just like melting in the sun, right? So like,
Ground is fair game.
That's right.
She giggles, but doesn't actually respond.
I'm gonna tentatively go over to it and then I'm gonna snip it.
Okay.
Great. I'm gonna. I devour it in like 2 bites, and I'm gonna say,
Many. Good.
Okay.
This whole thing has been a Pixar show. Like that.
Go. Question mark?
Go.
Okay, so I'm gonna run straight. Where are we going?
You're gonna start running in circles around the
Oh, my
courtyard.
favorite.
And let's do. Oh boy.
An athletics check to see who
She's-
gets tired first.
She's not dizzy. She is having fun. This is not how I planned on this going.
This is reminding me of those rodeo events at the Texas Rodeo where the little kids ride the sheep for as long as they can. And
Yeah,
you just
that's what I
fall
was.
off the
That's,
side.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Except that she just rolled a 17 to stay on.
Oh, good for her.
We've already broken the curtain
We've already-
of, like, welcome to actual play in D&D. We are actually playing D&D because
We
this is what
sure
happens.
are. Ruckus, roll me a perception check, please.
Happily. 22.
You hear the sound of horses' hooves coming across the courtyard.
Horses, those are also my favorite.
What do you do?
Oh, I'm gonna have to make an intelligence check to see if I have any idea about what to do.
Yes, I think you are.
All right, so let's say,
Actually-
what, like,
Would that be intelligence? I think that's more wisdom.
do I do wisdom?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
All right, 5.
So it doesn't matter if it's intelligence or wisdom.
Sure doesn't. I'm rolling to see if she stays on your back for this. Yeah, no. You take off running in the direction of the hooves, and she is still holding on.
Oh, great! I'm gonna make so many friends today. Did the ice cream heal me for any points?
No,
No?
it's just ice cream.
Oh, okay. Well, it was still pretty good.
It's just like a video game where you eat literally anything.
It's
Yeah, eat 50 potatoes for 5 hit points, right? Like,
not
yeah.
Pac-Man. It's just ice cream. So you have Daisy riding on your back, and she's a little scared at this point because you are running at a full gallop toward these very large cart horses.
Great. I'm gonna, as I'm running, I'm gonna reach up with my one paw and go on 3 legs as I'm galloping a little bit slower. And I'm gonna look up at her. I'm gonna say,
You. Help. Question mark?
Help! Help!
I'm gonna say,
No. Go.
I'm gonna stop slowly.
Okay. She is going to very cautiously climb off of your back and give you like a little pat on your head and then like stumble back toward where she was standing. Very shaky on her feet.
You. Good. Question mark?
Bye!
No. Hello.
I wave goodbye.
Across the courtyard, you see her. You see her toddling across the courtyard to her mother, or presumably her mother, an older goblin.
Woof, woof.
Roll me a wisdom check here.
12.
The goblin to whom she is running, her presumed mother, you recognize as a professor from the university. Meanwhile, the horses are getting closer.
Oh, there are horses too. Oh, I could get in trouble or I could go hang out with some horses. I wonder what I'm gonna do
Yeah.
next.
Everything is your favorite.
I know!
Decide.
Roll me a wisdom check.
17.
You notice the horses starting to come up toward you. 2 large cart horses
2 of them.
pulling a cart of fireworks.
Oh, maybe we can race.
Maybe, but you realize that if you keep going toward or following the horses, you are probably going to be late for your graduation ceremony.
Oh, which one's... Oh, I have to be a very good boy and go to graduation.
So you start to go in the direction from whence the horses came.
Okay. Well, we'll race next time.
So exiting the courtyard, you wind up near the athletic fields.
Okay, cool. I'll go back on my hind legs for now.
Okay, so you're strolling through the along the athletic fields.
Mhm.
Roll me a perception check.
21.
You see a group of students playing bug ball.
Oh, bug ball is my favorite.
Chris, what are the rules of bug ball?
Have you ever played Calvin Ball?
Nobody has ever played Calvin Ball.
Oh, well, you're really missing out.
I beg to differ.
So it is essentially a retooled version of Calvin Ball, which is, of course, credit is due. Great Bill Watterson, Calvin and Hobbes invented this sport. There are a couple of base rules. Typically, it's teams of 4 on 4.
Mm-hmm.
There are 2 sort of large holes on either side of a large pitch. The pitch is about 120 feet long or so. Usually plain grass, but you can play anywhere. It's just that, like, as this has become a professional sport, they've regulated the field. But the rules are the first team to get the ball in their team's respective hole to score 4 times wins the game. But on your turn, instead of doing an action trying to like throw the ball or run it down the field, you can also choose to make a new rule with your turn. The rule that you make, it can be any rule that you want that changes how the game is played, with a couple of exceptions. You can't say the rule is that we win, and you can't say the rule is anything other than the first team to 4 points wins. But everything else is fair game.
Am I remembering correctly that you can't repeat rules in Calvin Ball?
Yeah, why would you?
Yeah. Okay, so does Bug
It's
Ball...
already a rule, so
Does Bug Ball use that same conceit also?
Sure.
Great. Okay, so you see on the field 8 people playing Bug
That's
Ball.
a full game of Bug Ball.
And another 5 or 6 people kind of standing along the sides.
Mm-hmm.
Roll me a wisdom check.
7.
You don't recognize any of them,
Ooh, 2 players.
but
Are they wearing the green and orange striped pants?
they're not. They're just dressed in like street clothes or like athletic
Oh,
clothes.
it's a pick-me-up game.
It's a pick up game.
No, it's a pick-me-up game because it picks you up when you play it.
So in this pick me up game, you notice that one of the players on the field is just like everybody is just running around this player. They're just like being so outclassed by everybody else on the field.
Oh, maybe they're just new.
Perhaps they're just new. Perhaps, depending on how you roll, you want to go help them.
Well, let's see. What's it gonna be?
That is going to be wisdom.
9.
Oh yeah, you want to go help them.
Let's go help the new Bug Ball player.
I'm very curious to see how Ruckus makes rules with a 20-word limit.
Well, we're not really going to find out because Ruckus has gone off to the Bug Ball field. and-
Ruckus is very late for graduation.
Yes,
now.
actually, roll me a D10.
Yeah. Okay. D10.
D10.
Oh, first time rolling. Not
First
the
time rolling
D20.
not a D20.
That's this one. How many hours late? Time 10 hours late.
Minutes.
Minutes,
You're,
okay.
you're going to be playing Bug Ball for 10 minutes. You are going to be...
Oh, that's a big game of Bug Ball.
Yeah.
Usually they're over in 50 seconds or so.
It might be more than one game.
Maybe
but
one of the
you are-
rules that they invent is, yeah.
Yes, so you are going to spend your next 10 minutes playing Bug Ball instead of going to
Oh,
graduation.
I'm so happy.
All right, so we're going to leave you there.
Great.
The green of Mage Martial's athletic fields eventually give way to the green of the university's botanical gardens. And in a far corner of the botanical gardens is where you'll find Mage Martial's medicinal garden. This belongs to Sluvere College, a low-slung stone structure tucked behind the gardens, designed to blend in with its surroundings, although a glamour helps with the camouflage. The medicinal garden is not the draw for visitors that some of the botanical gardens' ornate topiaries and blooming flower fields are, but it is the source of all the herbs and roots and berries used by the aspiring healer mages at Mage Martial. Despite its cross-university utilization, the medicinal garden is specifically maintained by the Sluverdians, as it has been for centuries. Past the chamomile and lavender flowers and the shoots breaking ground above the ginger and garlic and turmeric, there's a small cluster of ginkgo trees. Behind them, the strumming of a guitar is just audible. Bob, who's playing that guitar?
You want me to describe Keylonian Stumps?
You can start describing, or you can start with the song and then do your description.
Well, Keylonian Stumps is a turtle, and a turtle is a large turtle person. Would be the best way to describe that. Bipedal turtle. Yes, exactly. Keylonian himself is not too tall, average height. He is 5'6". He has muddy brownish green skin, and he's a bit scrawny for a turtle. Not very
For a turtle.
For a turtle. Thank you.
He's still quite large for a turtle.
I'll do that, yeah. I'll do that a lot, probably. And so he's strumming his guitar in the courtyard. He's sitting down. You notice his claws. He has what would normally be like sort of long claws on his fingers, but these have looked like have been filed down a little bit, and they're a little dull, being used to strum his guitar. And on his back is his shell, which is rather large, and has a few leather sort of backpacks, almost like saddle packs, put on his shell. And sitting next to him is a little chicken coop that also has some straps on it that looks like it would go on his shell. And wandering around him is a little chicken that is pecking at the bugs in the garden.
Is it like a white chicken with a little red?
Yep.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Straight out of Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. And so he's just strumming away, looking like he's having a great time. He's got a straw hat that's wide brimmed that's keeping the sun out of his eyes as he's strumming, and he looks like he's just trying to like sort of figure out a song or like put a song together.
What is he trying to figure out about the song?
Oh well, he's always writing a song, and at this particular time, you might notice, by the way, that his guitar, on the body of the guitar, is painted in a sort of scribbly script, Peacemaker, on his guitar. And right now he's trying to figure out a way to sing about the peacefulness of nature, because he's sitting in this garden and it's very peaceful, and he's trying to figure out the best way to describe the peacefulness of this garden. It's tranquil here, real nice, green, there's no ice. And I wanna sit here all day, but it's graduation day, so I gotta go soon. What do you think about that, Angel? Think that sounds good? Angel is the chicken.
Angel is the chicken. Why don't you roll an animal handling check to see how Angel feels about?
That'd be 21.
Angel kind of sidles up to you and like rubs her head on your elbow while you're playing.
Oh, you like it, Angel? Great. Your approval matters a lot to me.
Ah, yes. The songs live or die by the chicken's wings.
She's a hit maker.
The producer.
Roll me a perception check.
I take in a deep breath, and it's a 15.
In the distance, you hear the chime of the bell tower at the school that tells you that it is about graduation time. And so if you're going to graduation, then it should be time to start packing up your things. What do you do?
Say, all right, Angel, think it's about time we get over to graduation now. stands up in a very tortily fashion, very slow, a little creaky in his shell.
How old is he?
He's 24.
No, actually,
It's all downhill from here, buddy.
Because that's old for turtles. I checked on this the other day. Turtles reach maturity at like 14. So I think unless he's a non-traditional student,
He went back to school.
He would be a little non-traditional. Keylonian has spent a lot of time wandering.
okay, because they reach adulthood at 15. So you are a middle-aged turtle. Okay,
That's right.
I forget the gap year. That's a gap decade.
24 years young.
they live to about 60.
Okay.
Yeah. So so you are a middle-aged turtle.
Super senior.
So yeah.
We all knew that guy.
So, all right. So anyway, your joints. Nobody can see this, but producer Nate just pointed to himself. So you stand up, kind of creaky.
I pat the top of the chicken coop. All right, Angel, ready to go.
Animal handling check.
Handling check. 23.
She hops right into the chicken coop and then looks up at you like, "Okay, I'm ready."
Right. Picks up the chicken coop, straps it onto his shell, picks up his guitar, still holds it out in front of him, plays a little bit as he's walking out of the garden.
I love this. So you're a strolling troubadour through
That's right.
pretty empty campus at this point because everybody is heading to graduation if they're not there already. You are walking across this campus where you spent the last 4 years. First through the botanical gardens and then back across the fields. I'm going to roll this one for you so you don't have to stop playing. What is your modifier for perception?
It's 5.
So you notice as you're walking across the field this large dog like being who you recognize. You're friendly with him. This is Ruckus.
Ooh, my pal Ruckus.
Yes. So do you do anything when you see Ruckus as you're walking across?
Yep. I play a nice G chord for Ruckus
Non-natural 20 perception.
and wave.
So Ruckus drops the ball for a moment and notices you.
I was like,
Hello. Hello.
And the ball just goes flying past Ruckus.
oh yeah.
You continue walking.
Hello to you too, Ruckus. Sorry to interrupt your game.
I'm gonna say woof, and I'm gonna say
No. Hello.
and I'll wave goodbye.
So long, Ruckus. You better get to graduation.
Ruckus doesn't hear that last bit because he's back to playing. So you're continuing. You scroll past the athletic fields. You go across the courtyard around which most of the colleges, the dorms are built, and you walk past Enchanted Grounds. What was it? You were +5 on perception?
That's right.
You look in the glass and you see that the coffee shop is pretty empty, except for a small woman standing behind the counter furiously scribbling in her journal. Do you stop in to say hello, or do you keep going?
Of course I stop in to say hello.
Oh boy.
That's my pal Clarice.
Okay. Character interaction, let's go.
Black coffee on mug.
Oh, you know me so well, Clarice, but I'm on my way to graduation.
Well, before you go, I've got a few crumbs for Angel.
Oh!
Just turn around and I'll pop some in there.
He sort of lifts the lid of the coop on his back and leans back.
And Clarice climbs onto the actual bar, the coffee counter, in order to reach the height that is needed to drop some breadcrumbs in for Angel the chicken.
Okay.
Angel loves it, I assume. Unless you want
Actually,
to
roll an animal handling check.
Okay. 12.
She gladly accepts the crumbs but doesn't really interact with you. Fair. Okay.
She had a lot of bugs this morning in the garden. But I'm sure she'll appreciate some breadcrumbs, as she always does. How you doing today, Clarice?
Everything is awful, thank you.
Oh, that's my Clarice.
You go rock that graduation, man.
Oh, you betcha.
Do you leave?
I leave.
Okay.
So long, Clarice.
So you,
Hope to see you there.
Buy black coffee on mug.
so you keep walking toward Memorial Stadium. When you get to the door through which the graduates are being funneled, you see somebody who knows you from the college, from some classes that you've taken. It's another fellow Sluverdian. Small little gnome. It's always been just kind of present, not really super interactive with anybody, but looks really pumped to be there today. This little gnome's like, Hey Stumps! It's graduation day!
Hey there. Roll an intelligence check to remember your name.
Yes.
Oh, hey there, 9 intelligence check.
Hey there, friend.
Yeah. Hey there, roll a persuasion check to think that I remember your name. 20. Not a natural one. Oh, hey there, you know me.
It's so good to see you, Stumps. Graduation day is such a big deal. Why are you not wearing your robes?
Oh, well, I'm glad to be here as well, but I'm going to be staying right here. And he takes the chicken coop off of his back and sets it down right at a spot that is visible to everyone going inside, but not in the way.
Okay. Unknown gnome. That would be a good band name for our
Unknown
festival.
gnome.
Unknown gnome.
Writing that down.
It's like, okay, well, bye? It just starts to go.
So long. Enjoy the ceremony.
All right. So you are now setting up.
Our first misconnection.
What are you setting up for?
Well, I set myself down and I pull out a little sign that says, "Make love, not war," and puts it in front of his guitar case, his leather sort of more of a leather guitar satchel that a guitar fits into. He puts it inside, and he just sits on down by the sidewalk and starts playing a little song. Bring a speaker who speaks peace. Turn your ear, turn your ear, turn your ear. Bring a speaker who speaks peace. Turn your ear, turn your ear, turn your ear. Oh, turn your ear. Turn your heart with the words that you hear. Bring a speaker who speaks peace. Turn your ear, turn your ear, turn your ear.
Roll me a performance check.
I worked on that one under the ginkgo trees. 14.
A couple of students kind of pause as they're coming into graduation and notice you. One person tries to give you money but notices that you don't have a hat or your guitar case or anything set up and just kind of like shrugs. Yes.
Can they give it to the chicken?
Let's see. Can they give it to the chicken? We're gonna say if it's even, then yes. If it's odd, then no. It's odd, so no. They do not give the money to the chicken.
That's fine. I'm out here spreading love.
So nobody actually like pauses to really engage with you.
That's a shame.
They're all. I feel like I'm having a conversation with Bob Dylan right now. So they all like, they look at you, they notice, some of them might like give you a nod or something on the way in, but they're all going in. Why are you protesting?
Well, I'm protesting because they've chosen at this wonderful occasion to bring in Gideon Stormcaller, Urvara's acting Secretary of War, as the commencement speaker. Now, I know we're not at war right now, but I think it's really important on a momentous occasion such as today to know that there's other paths to take besides war. And, people deserve a right to speak, deserve to hear what you got to say, but, sometimes at an occasion like this, some voices don't get to be heard. And I want the voice of peace loud and clear.
Do you say any of that out loud?
I do. In
Okay.
between verses.
Perfect.
That's the song's breakdown.
Yeah.
Right?
So coming across the yard that it poses as the entrance to Memorial Stadium, you see a familiar figure. Andric, you are running late. Have you finally got your robes on at least?
Yeah, Andric has he had to take off the sword, take off his duster, put the robe on, strapped the sword around, and is just carrying his duster in his arms.
Where's the scroll?
He tucked it actually like in his back pocket.
Okay. Roll me a perception check.
It's going to be a 22.
So as soon as you enter the vicinity, you hear this guitar playing. And you look across and you see your old friend, Kelonian Stumps. Do you approach him?
Yes.
Okay.
Who could resist? Other than all those students, apparently.
I don't know what the deal is.
So none of us have any ability to stay on task, is what I'm getting. except for Clarice, who is not trying to stay on task.
Okay.
Not today, Stumps. Why today? Come on, you should celebrate with the rest.
Andric, you of all people, a man of remembrance, should know that today is the best day.
Why are you doing this?
Well, let me tell you, I mentioned it a moment ago, but you weren't here.
So do you just repeat the whole
I
spiel?
repeat the whole
Gideon
spiel.
Stormcaller.
Yes, Gideon Stormcaller. Gideon Stormcaller, peace, etc.
And you realize that Secretary Stormcaller is one of the reasons you're able to do what you're doing right now.
Oh, of course, I know that, but, other people standing around might not. Why don't you tell them?
That's the yes and we need.
Wisdom check.
For me?
Just straight up.
Actually, wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom saving.
Wisdom saving
Oh.
throw.
Garbage.
Gotta get me one of those dice.
Oh boy.
2.
You're killing it.
It's almost as if you've been so distracted by preparing to be the marshal today that you have forgotten why you're actually here.
By that, I assume that you mean because the end of the war 30 years ago.
Pacifism is a luxury. And he turns and continues into the ceremony grounds.
Okay.
Pacifism is a gift. Turn your ear, turn your ear, turn your ear. Pacifism is a gift. Turn your ear, turn your ear, turn your ear.
We just broke our producer.
4 psychic damage sustained by the producer.
When you hear Stumps responding to you, what do you do?
I look back. I reach under the robe and like just kind of like run my fingers over the scroll that I'm holding.
Do you turn or go back to Stumps, or do you continue on?
No, I hear it. I hear Stumps, but I do not turn and acknowledge.
Okay.
I'm going. I have a job to do.
Stumps, roll me a persuasion check.
18.
Andric, roll me an insight check.
Also 18.
We're evenly matched.
You
We're
are
both
you are
stubborn
very
in our
evenly
ways.
matched.
Best of 3?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say with that tie, it's gonna go to Stumps here. So you pause as Stumps is playing this, just long enough to, like, really think about what he's saying. And then you hear from inside the stadium, "Would all speakers and presenters please report to the dais immediately? Commencement is about to begin."
Andric hears that, strides up, his eyes just kind of scanning, just seeing who from his family is around, if anyone.
So you have not quite entered the stadium yet. You're near the door where all of the graduates are meant to enter, but because you're going to be presenting from the stage, you are actually meant to go around to the other to another door that's closer to the stage. Roll me a wisdom check.
9.
You don't remember that you're supposed to go through a separate entrance. You're going to have to go through the entire graduating class to get up to the dais where you're supposed to be.
I do think, realizing that, I think it would actually scoot around the side.
Okay.
Like, is this where, like, is there an aisle in the center?
There's a center
and then
aisle,
the
and yeah.
He would do the scoot around the side, and then, like...
Okay. So you wanted to see if you see anybody from your family there.
Yeah.
So families and friends are going to be seated up in the stands. Roll me a perception check with disadvantage because there are a lot of people there.
It's a 7.
You do not find yourself really able to make out any faces in the crowd. You start to make your way to the stage. As you begin to ascend the stairs, you notice that Belle is standing just off the side of the stage with some of the other students from her dance troupe. Do you acknowledge Belle or any of the other dancers?
Could I interrupt and just say that Belle and all the other dancers are just passing around water bottles between them?
Okay.
Drink.
All right. Are the water bottles perhaps branded for either Flatley Hall or for your dance group?
Probably a mix, and also for the Jubilation Festival. Like, it's just they all were like, we will get any container of water that we can get our hands on.
So we're just trying to keep from bloating so we don't fart during the dance performance.
100%.
100%.
It is a very athletic performance, and the costumes are not very forgiving.
Andric, when you see just it's like, how many people are you with?
I'm gonna say like a total of 12.
Okay. So when you see the dozen dancers all like passing around water, like their lives depend on it, how do you react?
I don't think I do at all.
Okay.
I think head down.
Not your problem.
So you begin to ascend the stage.
Yeah.
Then ascend the stairs to the stage.
There, except for like a quick glance when he sees that Monahan is among them.
Who's
Monahan?
Says the audience and also us.
Also the DM.
Just
The
someone.
other Cameron, who's also here.
So is among the dancers?
Yes.
Okay. But you don't acknowledge.
No.
Okay.
No, that was rough.
Okay. All right. Does Monahan see you?
I don't know. Does he?
Let the dice decide.
Yeah. I don't know who Monahan is. You've just introduced a new character to me. So
Welcome to D&D.
yeah. Monahan sees you, locks eyes with you as you're ascending the stairs. Yeah, well, like locks eyes with you while chugging water.
No blinking.
Around the glass.
Yeah, like there's
Eyes get real big in the glass.
there's just a look and a turn, and
Okay.
Would Jane Austen call it a cut direct? Yeah. All right. There's some tension there.
Okay.
A frisson of energy.
I love it. I love it. As you ascend the stairs, you hear the Mage Martial band begin to play the college song. And that's where we are going to finish episode 1.
Oops All Bards is created, GM'd, and directed by Jillian Ashley Blair Ivey. This episode was produced, edited, and sound designed by Nate Runkle. Oops All Bards stars Ashley Banks as Belle Cernamiel, Ann Coleman as Clarice Sauercloud, Ross Curry as Andric Harrowhold, Chris Klinecki as Poochton Ruckus, Bob Killian as Kilonian Stumps, featuring Paige Klinecki as the voice of the Bark Buttons. The Oops All Bards theme song is by Bob Killian with additional lyrics by Jillian Ashley Blair Ivey. Oops All Bards is executive produced by The Porch Room. We are part of the Porch Room Network on Spreaker Prime. For more information, visit oopsallbards.com. Thanks, and be sure to subscribe to Oops All Bards on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your podcatcher of choice. We'll see you next time.